Hello, and welcome to HBM's Crypto-Corner for Wednesday, September 28th, 2022. We have a few things to talk about, so let's get started. First of all, NISI purists petitioned for webcam reports to be stricken from official record. The simmering debate over potential webcam sightings of the Loch Ness Monster has intensified as critics of such reports have now started a petition calling for these cases to be stricken from the official record. The effort is reportedly the work of a group of Nessie fans dubbed the Falkirk Boys, who say that they felt compelled to make such a bold appeal following last month's launch of 5 new live streams surrounding the iconic Scottish site. In their petition, which can be found here, they argue that webcam sightings are of such poor quality that they have a detrimental impact on the standard and myth of Nessie. To that end, they note that the organization behind the new live streams, Visit Inverness Loch Ness, have even conceded that their HD cameras will not always give a clear resolution and that the weather, wildlife, and the odd paddleboarder could be the cause of strange movements on the loch rather than the legendary monster. With that in mind, the petition not only requests that sightings for the new webcams not be accepted by the official Loch Ness sightings register, but takes the critique a step further and calls for all prior reports to be removed from the proverbial historical record of Nessie cases. While it remains to be seen whether or not previous reports will ultimately be expunged from the register, it would appear that cases for the new webcams are unlikely to wind up on the list going forward due to a rather stringent requirement announced in a joint statement by Visit Inverness Loch Ness and official Loch Ness sightings register. No doubt in response to a pair of possible live stream sightings made by online monster hunter Eo again last week. They have indicated that a webcam report will now only be considered if one can capture footage of clear facial features of an unknown creature. Assuming that this near impossible standard also applies to sightings recorded on the Nessie on the net live stream, it will assuredly upset those who have spent countless hours watching for the creature from the comfort of their home. On the other hand, it will undoubtedly satisfy the purists who contend that webcam sightings provide no evidentiary value in the search for the monster, and as such wish to keep the record clean of such nebulous reports. So, while the debate over the quality of these cases will likely continue for quite some time, the question of whether they wind up being accepted as official has been seemingly settled as they apparently will not unless one can somehow manage to spot Nessie's face on the live stream. Well, that's interesting. So now it looks as if webcam sightings will not count when it comes to Nessie. Unless you get a really good shot of the face. Very interesting. Here's a local case. Mississippi man claims to have come face to face with a Bigfoot. A man in Mississippi claims he came face to face with a Bigfoot. In a news report from WJTV, a man by the name of Robert Cloyd claimed he saw a Bigfoot while out in the wild, and the interview is gold. When he realized I saw him, he screamed at me again, and that really scared me, Cloyd told WJTV during the incredible interview. Watch the bizarre and hilarious interview below. I have to be honest with you all, I'm not buying the story at all. I'm not buying a single line of it. I'm supposed to believe a guy who looks like Robert Cloyd is walking around marshes and not in Mississippi and he's not packing heat? Give me a break. I know a guy who carries a heavy revolver when I see one, and Robert Cloyd is straight out of Central Casting. I'm confident that if he saw a Bigfoot, bullets would have started flying. Secondly, I love the reporter hyping up the noise in the woods, but it's clearly a chainsaw. It's not even up for debate. That's the distinct sound of a chainsaw. How could they have heard that and thought it was anything else? As I've said for a long time, until one of these creatures is dead on the ground, it's all nonsense and nothing more. Ooh.
Well, usually about this time every Wednesday, Walt Grayson, well, he has something to say from the Mississippi Moment Corner.
Well, Walt is out today, but he has a story that he doesn't want to wait until next week to tell us. So, Walt, what you got?
Yeah, I'm just a little under the weather today, but I think I'll be okay. It's not anything serious, anyway. But this story's just too good. I didn't want to wait. I was down in Natchez last week, end of last week, interviewing a couple of friends of mine, Jimmy Allgood and Brandon McCraney, about a Bigfoot birthday party that they're throwing this November for the 300th anniversary of the first sighting of Bigfoot on the North American continent, and it happened near Natchez. Well, in the process of doing the story, I interviewed Robert Cloy. Robert Cloy has seen a Bigfoot. This is what he told me.
And I saw some trees shaking, and then I really looked and I could see the silhouette of him holding trees like that. And then when he realized I saw him, he screamed at me again, and that really scared me.
Well, we're in the Mississippi River backwater shooting the story, but I wanted to get a place that looked a little bit more Bigfootish, so I stopped by a couple of spots I know on the way home on the Natchez Trace. Now, keep in mind, I had just talked to a person who told me that he had seen a Bigfoot and that the Bigfoot screamed at him. And so here's what I heard in the woods. Can you hear it? Way, way back in the distance. There's this sound. At first, I didn't know what it was. I really didn't think it was
does sound like a
Bigfoot, but I couldn't
chainsaw.
rule it out because I just never had heard a sound like that, not on the Natchez Trace anyway. But fortunately, at the end of one of its last yowls, you can't hear it because it's inaudible to the camera, but it went put, 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 put. Chainsaw. So that's my Bigfoot experience. Now, had it been a real Bigfoot, I would have turned into a UFO, an unidentified fleeing object. Back to you guys.
Well, maybe Robert Cloy did see a Sasquatch and just didn't want to shoot it. Has the individual who wrote this story ever thought about that? Apparently, the guy who wrote this article is definitely a skeptic. David Hookstead. And that's fine. I mean, there are skeptics. There's going to be skeptical people out there. That's fine. But it almost borders on cynicism what this guy is saying. So, yeah. Well, takes all types, I guess. I forgot to mention this last week, but I do want to highly recommend the book The Bigfoot Influencers by Tim Halloran. Really good stuff. He interviews several individuals, including Jeff Meldrum, Todd Neese, Diane Stocking, Amy Boo, Ron Moorhead, Peter Byrne, and there are several others. Also, I want to recommend the Bigfoot Influencers podcast. Now, they've already had two guests on there. They've had Daniel Perez the first week and Kathy Strain the second week. So I highly recommend the Bigfoot Influencers podcast as well. Also, highly recommend A Flash of Beauty, Bigfoot Reveal. It's on Tubi TV. What I liked about the Bigfoot Influencers book, that my favorite interview was with Les Stroud. That's because he said that he wasn't a Bigfooter. He's not a Bigfoot researcher. He's a documentarian and survivalist. I recommend A Flash of Beauty because it has different personalities in it. And there is a little bit of the Native American aspect in there as well. It's discussed. So I highly recommend all three of those products, by the way. But, well, two of them are free, by the way. So there you go. And that's going to do it for this week. I want to thank you very much for tuning in. You guys are the heart of the show. I always say that, but I always mean it. I'll continue to do this as long as you guys want me to. And I know it's another short show this week, but not a whole lot to discuss. But hey, until next week, y'all be good or be good at it. This is HBM's Crypto Corner.